Hello, I am Nadine Carty-Keynes, and thank you for joining us at the Nevis Emergency Operations Center today, Thursday, 7th May 2020, for an update on the situation regarding the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, on Nevis. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all our viewers and media houses that have joined us virtually. All questions will be taken at the end after all the speakers have presented. The Nevis COVID-19 briefings are aired on Mondays and Thursdays each week at 8 p.m. on Nevis Television, or you can check YouTube channels and Facebook pages on Nevis Television, Nevis HPU, and Nevis NDMD. We have with us today Mr. Brian Dyer, Nevis EOC Director, Mr. Lyndon David, Superintendent of Police, Nevis Division, Dr. Judy Nisbet, Chair of the Nevis COVID-19 Task Force, Mrs. Shalisa Martin Clark, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs, and Mr. Huey Sargent, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, et al. Welcome to all. I'll now give over to Mr. Brian Dyer, who will make his presentation.
Good evening to the viewing audiences. The 2020 Atlantic hurricane season is upon us, and in that regard, the Honorable Deputy Premier, Mr. Alexis Jeffers, has summoned a meeting of the Nevis Disaster Management Committee to discuss the preparatory and response strategies for the upcoming season in light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. This meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, 12th May at 9 a.m. at the EOC building. Social distancing, spacing, physical distancing would be enforced during this meeting. An email was dispatched this morning from the EOC to all heads of department, and we would like written reports from the various heads of department and agencies with regards to their preparatory and response strategies for the upcoming hurricane season. In a similar vein, the Disaster Management and the Ministry of Health would be convening a meeting next week, Wednesday the 14th at 10 a.m. at the EOC with the shelter and shelter managers and volunteers with regards to their role in that will be executed during the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. So again, we are appealing to all shelter managers, key custodians of the various facilities, and our volunteers to come to this meeting next week, Wednesday. As another announcement will be made, and also an announcement will be sent via WhatsApp. Continuing, the government-run quarantine center is operational. Again, persons wishing to donate to the occupants are asked to contact the Nevis Disaster Management Department, EOC, 469-1423 or 469-7903. Drop off all items at the EOC during the hours of relaxed curfew. The scheduled times of transporting the items to the quarantine center are 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily. Items that are needed urgently would be delivered on a need-to basis. Now for some statistics. The COVID-19 Compliance Task Force has completed 110 assessments of the businesses in Charlestown and the transportation sector. Today, they inspected 3 stores, 4 salons and barber shops, 1 bar and snackette, 1 shop, 1 restaurant, 4 offices, and 6 market vendors. The inspections will continue daily, and during the initial assessment, persons the task force will be doing an assessment, providing recommendations, and conducting training. The second round would be to inspect to ensure that persons are following the recommendations, and then the third round will be enforcement, where penalties, etc., will be executed to apply to the various infractions. On to social services. Social services has indicated that a total of 344 households have been assisted with care packages and food vouchers to date. And we are appealing to other persons in our communities who may need these services, whether for care packages or food vouchers or for psychosocial intervention. Please contact the numbers that are being displayed. And finally, we would like to express our sincere thanks and appreciation and gratitude to the Bodies Restaurant for providing lunches to the students at the quarantine center on Wednesday, 6 May. Also to Mr. Jamaica for his delicious lunches that were provided to the EOC staff on Wednesday, 6. TDC Drinks Depot for providing some soft drinks to the students in the quarantine center on May 6. And finally, I would like to express sincere thanks and appreciation to the Evelyn's Drugstore for donating hand sanitizers to the Alexander Hospital. And thank you to Mr. Carl Lewis for being the one who donated these hand sanitizers on behalf of the Evelyn's Drugstore. So thank you very much to all, and we do anticipate and welcome other donors as the fight continues with regards to COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Lyndon David, Superintendent of Police, Nevis Division.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Good evening, all. It's always a pleasure for us to be back here and giving you some information and update pertaining to the operations of the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, Nevis Division. Thus far, we have conducted 555 patrols, 62 vehicle checkpoints, 11 arrests for curfew breaches, and 4 persons have since been charged. We have 5 reported crimes were committed during the period, and 4 persons were arrested and charged for these offenses. We've been stopping a number of vehicles, and that amount to 1,336. 9 persons were informed that there will be summons for various breaches of the state of emergency and curfew restrictions and guidelines. Our patrols and vehicle checkpoints are ongoing, and during the curfew periods, we observe that the majority of persons are complying. And we want to say thank you very much for making it a bit easier for us in order to enforce these restrictions and provide the guidelines to our community to ensure that COVID-19 will not spread to a level that will definitely cause serious concern. We are doing well, and we want it to stay that way. Our quarantine site, as mentioned earlier by Brian Dyer, we have no issue with it so far, and we're encouraging the persons who are there to continue to comply with the restrictions and the guidelines. Family members, we're also thanking you for cooperating. Ensure that you come to the EOC, drop off what you have to drop off, and collect what you have to collect to make it easier for all concerned. Attention will continue to be paid to the passenger buses. Just a few days ago, I observed a bus driver as he passed, driving without mask. So I'm saying to you, you have to lead by example. They're coming into your bus. You cannot say, put on your mask and you don't have it on. So we are saying to you, bus drivers, ensure that you wear the mask, ensure you have the hand sanitizers to ensure that we do not have any spread. Remember, you're protecting yourself and your family members who are living with you and those with whom you may come in contact from time to time. Passengers, we are saying to you, we see the majority of you are complying, wearing your mask and so forth, but there are still some who are defiant. You're not wearing the mask, or sometimes you may have it halfway on your face, your nose exposed. It should be fully fitted on your face, and just practice the best practices that we have given you thus far. Businesses that sell alcoholic beverages. We have seen some establishments are still exposing and offering for sale and are selling alcoholic drinks. This is a very serious matter. We are reminding you that all those drinks that you have and all the money that you made can be confiscated. Protect your business. The time will come when the state of emergency and curfew will be lifted and you can go full force. If you sell bread and milk and beef, sell those things. But we want you to continue to comply with the restrictions and the guidelines that are given to ensure that we have no further spread of the COVID-19 in our federation. Essential workers. We observe that majority of you are complying, but still we are finding that there are some persons who are breaching. I've already given my officers instructions to report you to your bosses. And if that reporting to your boss fails, well, then we will have to summon you and arrest you. It will be very sad. That will be one essential worker less to carry on the fight. But nonetheless, we'll have to do what we have to do. So we're encouraging you. Just comply with the regulations and the officers out there on the road. Do not make excuses. You're not an ambulance. You're not a police car. You're not a fire truck. So to take persons to various places because you're an essential worker, that's not what you're an essential worker for. If you are a hospital technician, that's why you are the essential worker, to do the technical work at the hospital. If you are a dentist, that's what you're there for, not to take a friend up the road to collect mangoes. No, it is for dentistry. So let us understand that and support the fight that we are doing here and do not go against it. So for the time being, those of you who are doing it, you're fighting against the cause. Fight for the cause and not against it. We have seen where almost everybody trying to wear the mask once they're in public place, which is good. So kudos to all of us who are wearing our masks when we're in public. Then there are some who are defiant. Remember, as I said earlier, it is for your benefit and all of us. If you don't have it and no family members of you have it and you get it, look what you're doing. So if you love them, take care of them, cherish them. There are persons who are moving about for various reasons who were permitted to do so. And guess what? I am happy to say to the general public and the world at large that these persons, they were genuine. They called back and said, look, officer, I want to thank you for permitting me. So if they ask for 5 minutes, 5 minutes to take. So we are encouraging all you persons, once it's an urgent matter, you do not have a pass from the commissioner, but you call and ask me, we grant you that. But we hope that you stick to the time. So therefore, do not abuse it. So do not say, Superintendent David, please permit me to go to the hospital to drop off urgent, whether it's clothing or food or some medicine for somebody who is there that need it from home, and then you go on elsewhere, maybe look for a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Do not use it for that reason. This is not correct. We are saying to each person out there, whether you have the permit or you are given permission to be on the road, comply with the lawful instruction given to you by the police and the military whilst they're out there doing their work. We realize most of you are complying, so we want to ensure that we continue to do that. At this time, at the end, I want to thank God for his continued mercies on our country. Mercy on our island here of Nevis, wherein we see where we have no one in isolation. And therefore, those persons who are in quarantine, we're praying that the test will come back, that they are good to go, so to speak. And we ask that all of us will continue to pray and ensure that our federation will remain where it is, not experiencing the challenges that others are being facing. The governments, both federal and local alike, staff here on Nevis of the police force, medical staff, disaster staff, other essential workers, we want to thank you for your hard work and dedication. You know, some of us work more than the hours that we normally work in a day. Well, the reward will come to us sometime down the road. However, the reward that we are looking for is that we get no further infection or death. That's what we want. So let us aim for that. You citizens who continue to support us in various forms, we want to thank you for your support, and we're encouraging you to continue to do so. With reference to the breaches, especially liquor, you good citizens, report them. Yes, report them. Just report them and we will deal with it. We will ensure that you remain anonymous so that we can get these persons to understand that they must comply with the law. And finally, all you violators, I believe some of you have changed your minds and come on board, but we don't want some, we want all of you. Let us get this process going well so that at the end of the day, we can move towards where freeing up will be the next thing. Thank you very much and do enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Superintendent David. I'd now like to welcome Dr. Judy Nesbitt, Chair of the Nevis COVID-19 Task Force.
Good evening to everyone. As of today, May 7th at 2 p.m., 100 persons have been tested on Nevis. 94 persons tested negative, while 4 persons tested positive. 2 test results are pending. There are 26 persons currently in quarantine, while 214 persons have been released from quarantine. We are pleased to report that the 4 persons who tested positive have fully recovered, and therefore currently there are no persons in isolation. I want to emphasize, though, that because all of the cases we have had to date have recovered, and we have not had a positive case in the last 30 days, this does not mean we assume that there are no more cases on Nevis and that we no longer take all precautions. We continue to test persons who meet the case definitions that I discussed in the last briefing. It simply does not mean we are all clear of cases. We therefore ask persons to continue the measures that we have been discussing over time, such as physical distancing, or which is sometimes referred to as safe distancing, of 6 feet when you are among persons who are not of your household. Wear a face mask or cloth face covering when in public places, and ensure that when wearing these, just as Superintendent just said, that they cover both your nose and your mouth. Wash your hands often and wash thoroughly with soap and water, and if soap and water are not available, use a hand sanitizer containing no less than 60% ethyl alcohol. Practice respiratory etiquette. And if you have respiratory symptoms, stay at home so that you do not expose others. And if you need to see a healthcare provider, please call before visiting their office, the health center, or the hospital. Say what your symptoms are so that they can prepare to receive you. I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the members of the Health Emergency Operating Center, or who I refer to as the Dream Team, which is part of and works within the Nevis Emergency Operating Center. Thanks to the meticulous public relations team led by Mrs. Nadine Carty-Keynes and Mr. Jack Gumbo, the safety team, Nurse Jessica Scarborough and Nurse Passad, who ensure that the infection prevention and control measures are adhered to throughout the institutions. the operations and logistics team of the very organized Permanent Secretary Martin Clark and Mr. Malcolm Jeffers, the energetic planning team, which doubles as the rapid response team of Dr. Retna Walwyn-Brown and Nurse Hildred Mintus. And I want to pause here to say a special thanks to Nurse Mintus, who readily came out of retirement to assist us, and she has been doing a marvelous job. The data team that does a fabulous job of keeping on track with the data, Dr. Elizabeth Correa, the epidemiologist, Ms. Chanel Nisbet, our health statistician, and Ms. Shana Howell, health surveillance officer. The administration and finance team of Ms. Chanel Mills and Mrs. Irene Hanley, who expertly manage the administrative matters, including the financial records. So I wish to thank the dream team of health, who has been holding everything together and has made all of this response that we have been doing possible. I also wish to thank all the members, the other members of the broader Emergency Operating Center, for their support. Mr. Brian Dyer, Director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, who also heads the EOC, and the entire staff of the NDMD, who always readily gives their support. Superintendent Lyndon David and Ms. Hendrickson, who we see most, they are here during the daytime, and all the other officers of the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, who relieve Mr. David and Ms. Hendrickson from time to time. And of course, I cannot leave out Lisa and Malva, who keep us nourished throughout the day with some well-cooked meals, tasty meals, and snacks. Thanks also, while I'm thanking, I don't do thanks very often, so I want to also thank Mrs. Ermin Jeffers and the staff of Community Health Nursing for following the persons in quarantine, matron and staff at the Alexandra Hospital, and especially the staff who volunteer to work on the isolation wards. Dr. Rollins and staff, and including Dr. Florel Hobson, Dr. Earlene Pemberton, Dr. Elijah Thompson, who have volunteered to work at the checkpoint, and all the other staff at the hospital. As we always say, teamwork makes the dream work. So thanks to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Judy Nisbet. I see you have thanked everyone, so I will then now take the opportunity to thank you for doing such a marvelous job, and I know the pressures and pressure that will continue to fall on your shoulder, but we're here to support you 100%. And we, on behalf of the EOC and everyone else that you've worked with, thank you, thank you, thank you for your stellar leadership. I'd now like to welcome Ms. Shalisa Martin Clark, who will make her presentation.
The Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs recently purchased some portable hand wash zincs that would be placed in and around Charlestown. The objective is really to make readily available some hand wash stations for persons while they are doing their business in town. While we encourage persons to make use of the hand wash stations, we also ask them to take care and not to vandalize them. Bear in mind that one of the public health measures that we are trying to instill in persons during this COVID pandemic is the business of hand washing. So with the use of these portable hand washing stations, we will be reminding you that good health is in your hands.
Our final speaker, Mr. Huey Sargent, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture et al., will make his presentation.
Good evening, all. We continue to thank our farmers and fishers for their diligence in terms of their production and adhering to the established health protocols. I'm happy to announce that we are planning, the Department of Agriculture, we're planning a local produce sale on Tuesday, the 12th of May, from 9 a.m. at the marketing division, and that's in Charlestown. We have on sale butternut squash, tomatoes, peppers, sweet potatoes, cassava, green banana, eggplant, and carrot. And these items are a combination of farmers and department produce, and we promise rock bottom prices. We will not entertain bulk sales until the end or if stocks last. We have had a situation in the past where certain persons would have come and taken advantage of the wonderfully low prices that we provide and then resell at higher prices, and we are doing our best to try and avoid that. Also, in terms of farmers, we would like to announce that we've secured a limited amount of fencing wire to assist both livestock and crop farmers. We will be doing strict evaluations for the eligibility, and as such, a team has been put in place to monitor the distribution. In terms of the Department of Marine Resources, last week we distributed 97 rolls of fish pot wire. Some 56 went free of cost, and the others went for half price. We are currently expecting more wire, and the same special will be extended. And also in terms of fishers and fisheries, one of our latest initiatives, we are working with the Department of Marine Resources on St. Kitts to make available for fishers fuel at duty-free prices. We are working with a few individuals, and we are hoping that within this month of May, this can become a reality. And everyone is in the mood of thanks, so we are saying to the Ministry of Health and all the other active agencies, congratulations for your hard work in getting to where we are, and as well, congratulations to the people of Nevis for their support. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Sargent. And I'd now like to open up for questions and answers from the media, and for us to provide those answers if we can. Shamika Budgin of Von Radio. Is there any security in our waters at this time of St. Kitts and Nevis's border closure? If yes, can you explain the measures that are currently in place?
Thank you very much for that question. In terms of the security measures, you know that when it comes to maritime security, our Coast Guard will be responsible for that operation. However, at this time, I will be unable to say to you the safety measures that they have implemented. So therefore, I will say that you may have to communicate with the commander of the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force to find out what measures. But however, though, if you do not get that, it's all because of national security. So all we can say to you that yes, we are putting measures in place to do that. So thank you very much for your question.
Thank you for that question, and thank you, Superintendent. Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry, Monique Washington, St. Kitts Nevis Observer newspaper. Question to Mr. Sargent. I'm not sure if I heard, but how many fishermen benefited from the free fishing wire?
The 56 fishers, in terms of boat owners, would have benefited from the free wire. and the others would have been distributed to at half price to fishers who do not own their own boats.
Thank you. Yes, Monique, continue.
Last question will be for Dr. Judy Nisbet. Now there are 2 tests pending. My question is, when were those 2 persons tested, and how long will the results take to come back?
Thank you, Monique. Those 2 tests, one was taken yesterday, one was taken today. Actually, as I was going through my email, I just realized that we got back one of the results. So we now have just 1 pending and the 95 negative cases. And the other one will be back by Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique, for your questions. Shamika Bajinov on radio. Can you present a status report on price gouging? Some weeks ago we posed that question. Can we get a report on that?
Thank you for that question. The COVID-19 Compliance Task Force is currently conducting assessments, and wherever the price gouging is found, then recommendations would be made with regards to regularizing prices. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Von Radio, for your questions, and thank you, Mr. Dyer. I want to thank all our presenters, and thank you to the media houses who have joined us today. And remember to follow the instructions given for the state of emergency. A reminder for persons to protect themselves and protect others by washing your hands with soap and water. Cover your cough and sneeze with a tissue and dispose of it in a closed bin and wash your hands immediately. If tissue is not available, please use your flex elbow to cough or sneeze into. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unclean hands. Disinfect touch areas and surfaces often. Eat lots of vegetables and fruits. Drink plenty of water and get as much exercise as you can to keep your body strong. Practice physical distancing and stay at home if you don't need to move about. Please remember our hotline number is 311, or you can call 661-5051. And you can also sign up for Nevis Health. That is at kn.unhin.org. I want to thank the Nevis Disaster Management, Nevis Television, Caribbean Digital Displays Limited, Cornerstone, and the task force members for making this COVID-19 briefing possible here on Nevis. I am Nadine Carty-Keynes, and please join us on Monday, 11th May at 8 p.m. for another edition of the Nevis COVID-19 EOC briefing on Nevis Television. Thank you for viewing, and please stay safe.